believe that our first speaker is Liz, yes? Okay, so Liz is going to be coming up here, Dr. Liz Wilson. Now, if you've been here before, you're aware that I ask a series of getting to know you questions from people in order to get to know them. Dr. Liz opted not to give me anything, so I'm gonna go ahead and make some things up for Liz. Liz's internet algorithm likes to suggest to her toy rats to play with, just for herself, for funsies. The song that she loves to dance to, like Can't Stay Still, is, let's see, let me think, Rock Lobster by B-52s, which is really a good song. I'm being good to you there. And if she had an unlimited amount of money to collect something, it would absolutely be used straws. So that being said, please welcome Dr. Liz Wilson to the stage. Did you want this? Yay! I get a hug. All right, here you go.
Does anyone recall this viral video? The bride who signed to her deaf husband. Yeah, I can see some hands rising. You and 400 million other people. Now, if you don't recognise that imagery, it is actually me, not some stranger that I ripped off the internet. Now, but that's not where the story began. It began on Tinder, actually. I found myself on Tinder at the ripe old age of 39. After an 18-year marriage, I was divorced and single, and of course I turned to online dating. So Tinder it was. Now, on Tinder, I had approximately 17 failed dates. I was successfully getting matches, but not necessarily matching. So I really was at the end of my tether. And it was this one particular night that I matched with someone, and I really just decided, you know what, we need to meet. So I kind of went with, how are you? What's your name? Where do you live? Let's go on a date. So 24 hours later, and we were going on a date. That meant I had 8 hours of productive work time that day of online stalking this guy. So yes, I can go from online detective in 3.5 seconds exactly, and I uncovered his whole life story, basically. One of the interesting facts about him is that he played rugby league for the Australian Deaf Wallabies. Hang on, 1 second. Deaf Wallabies? Deaf. Google, how deaf do you need to be to play in the Australian Deaf Wallabies? 25% hearing loss. Okay, I figure I can cope with that. No problems. All right, maybe workplace hearing. Of course, I kept Googling and searching this guy, and I found a photo of him getting off a tour bus in Japan, and I could see really significant hearing aids. Okay, so he's really deaf. Can I really go on a date with someone that has a disability? I mean, you guys have only known me a few moments, but I'm pretty sure you can tell I like to talk. Could I really have a relationship with someone that was deaf, that couldn't hear me? So then I thought, I'm going to cancel the date. I know, judge me. I judged me. I deserve to be judged. But I thought I should go on this date out of pity. I'm telling you the truth. I had no expectations. I went on the date because I couldn't come up with a reason to be that person. The other reason I went on the date was because when I was 7 years old, I taught myself the Australian Sign Language alphabet off the TV. I hadn't met a deaf person since, and I hadn't used that sign language since, but I could remember it, so I had no excuse. And the third reason was, if you had seen his Tinder profile photos, gay or straight, you'd go on that date. And so I did. Now, I'm not sure how many of you use Tinder and online dating, but in case you're novices, a really hot tip for you is a burrito bar is the perfect place for a first Tinder date. You can eat a burrito, drink a margarita within 1 hour, and if it's a terrible date, you can get out of there. If it's a great date, you order another margarita from the bar. Now, in this particular burrito bar, it was so noisy. You know those restaurants that are so noisy that you have no idea what's going on and you just want to go home. Because all you're doing is pretending you understand what the other person was saying. And you know what? In this noisy restaurant, it was me that couldn't hear a thing he was saying, but he could read my lips. And it was in that noisy environment that I had the disability. Not him, me. And then I realised that Excluding environments are created by us. Yeah? And we all have a responsibility to create inclusion. If we can create exclusion, we can create inclusion. Lights were created so that people that can see aren't blind to the dark. Ladders are created so that people can reach greater heights. Inclusion is about creating environments where all people can thrive. Whether it's breaking down barriers, making accommodations, creating opportunities, respecting and valuing difference. If we all take accountability for including all the needs of all people all the time, then by default we'll all have our needs met, right? And I'm hoping I've sparked the accountability in you today to create inclusion. I feel lucky to have learned a second way to communicate. What will you do to create an inclusive world? Thank you.
Way to kick it off, Liz.